What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Amazon Wholesale podcast. So we've got a repeat guest on us with this week. We've got Chris Grant of Clear the Shelf, cleartheshelf.com. He's back with us, and we're going to be talking definitely a lot of Amazon, but we get into the other parts of his business as well. So we talk about his partnership with a guy named Nate McAllister. We talk about his affiliate marketing business. We talk about the different software tools he's created, some of the different challenges he's created to help Amazon sellers grow, and a lot of good stuff. So the first part is focused on the Amazon conversation, Q4 tips, how to beat a Section 3, because he just recently went through a Section 3 and he's got a lot of good tips on how to beat it. And then we end the conversation with some of that more general business focused talk. So I hope you guys enjoy this episode. I hope you guys enjoy the slight departure from just the strictly Amazon conversation. I think you guys are going to get a lot of value out of his take on partnerships, his take on just diversifying his business portfolio, and a lot of the cool stuff that he's got going on. So thanks again for watching. We'll jump right into the video. Guys, if you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to like the video. If you're watching it on, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple, be sure to leave us a 5-star review. And let's jump right into the conversation. Thanks, guys. Well, Chris, welcome back, man. I know it's been at least a few months since we had you on the show, but wanted to get you back in here for a bunch of reasons. But first of all, how have you been?
Pretty good, man. How about you? Got a new crib behind you? I love it.
Yeah. So finally got up in here into the new house. Got moved in about 10 days ago. You and I were just talking before the recording, right? That was pretty much the move from hell, but got in here, got it done, and got the setup done. So for those of you in the audience watching on YouTube, you see that camera quality is a lot better. Mic quality is a lot better. Background is featuring a George, right? We've got him asleep right here. And will definitely be better quality all around going forward. So definitely excited to have that done and get that move behind me.
Yeah, it's moving is never fun. It's
No.
nice for when it's over.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that kind of leads to the first part of the conversation, right? Speaking of what we've been up to recently, I know that you recently went through a Section 3 deactivation on Amazon for not too long of a time, right? I think 7 or 8 days, but us as Amazon sellers know that even an hour of deactivation is not good, right? And is enough to keep you up at night, like seriously. So I want to hear about your experience and kind of how you handled that.
I mean, nobody in their right mind wants to get a Section 3. You know, it is frustrating because it feels like a personal attack. Like Amazon thinks I did something wrong. And so on one hand, and I had just got done spending like, I think it was like $6,000, on a Friday night.
It's always right after you place a big order, you get hit with the Section 3 or the deactivation, right?
So I got like 600 units going to the prep center, and I get the email and I'm like, man, this sucks. On the other hand, I was actually kind of glad that it happened to me. And I know this is going to sound weird, but I was like, you know what? This is going to be an opportunity. I can make sure to knock this thing out. And then like I'll be able to show everybody, like, if you're a professional Amazon seller, this is what you do. And this is how you handle it. And this is how you prepare for one of these to come your way.
Right.
Because honestly, it seems to me like we're moving away from just the new sellers getting these to some of the more tenured sellers getting them. Myself,
right.
We both know Saul on Twitter. He's been around for a long time. You had it a Section 3? You had one, and so I took the time to, one, go through everything and try to make it as clear as possible for Amazon. Handle the call, make sure that all my paperwork was in order, and that way I could show, people in your audience, my audience on Twitter, that kind of stuff. Like, here's what needs to be done. Yes, this sucks, but it is figure outable if you think a little bit about your business, at all.
Right.
And sure enough, I went through the call. I got the paperwork in the right kind of order, made sure that it was super clean, and submitted it, knocked it all out in, one go. It was one call, one submission. I was reinstated. And then I had some time to think about, like, well, why is Amazon doing this? Because I think it's important we're playing in their sandbox and we need to figure out like what's going on. Well, we all know, even though we don't talk about it a lot, the FTC is breathing down Amazon's neck. Uh, we know that there have been articles about retail theft and those items getting onto Amazon.
Right.
We know that items get counterfeited. There's one particular Nike shoe that is it's a rare shoe. It was something that was made. I think they made maybe a couple thousand units, but 55% of the ones that go to get authenticated are not real.
55%. That's a mass. That's like
Yeah.
I mean, that's a majority, right? That's crazy. And I
Yeah.
personally would never buy like nice, especially not rare Nike shoes off
Yeah.
Amazon. You're asking to buy a fake at that point.
Absolutely. But do you know how easy it is to go and buy fake Nike sock? Like you and I could go to AliExpress right now and pay $3 for fake Nike socks.
Yep.
And so Amazon doesn't want that on their platform, but they don't have a way to just be like, oh, well, 80% of our sellers are selling the right stuff. No, they got to figure it out.
Right.
And so they've got to send out these mass deactivations, and then you've got to prove that you're innocent to help Amazon say our platform is secure.
Exactly.
It sucks, but I mean, that's what they're doing.
And it makes sense when you think about it too, right? Because now I know that a lot of people who are complaining are doing so rightfully, right? They're getting suspended for no reason because they didn't break a rule, or bottom line, they're being like penalized, and it's guilty until proven innocent, right? Like you said. But at the end of the day, we've got to understand why Amazon's doing this. It's to protect the integrity of the platform, and at the end of the day, to provide the customer with a good experience. And Amazon also knows that, well, hey, if we don't, at our scale, we don't have the ability to go seller by seller and one by one see who's legit and see who's not. Amazon's under the impression that, hey, if we suspend 10 sellers and 3 of those 10 were wrongfully suspended, well, that's fine, right? That's a win for us because we got 7 bad sellers off the platform. Now we'll try to work with those 3 to get back up and running. But at the end of the day, we know how Amazon works and how difficult sometimes that communication process can be. So it's not a perfect system by any means. But at the end of the day, I do think that the cleanup of a lot of these seller accounts and of these products getting listed on the platform are going to benefit us as legitimate sellers, especially if we're planning to stick around long term, right? Which I definitely am. I know you definitely are. I know the people in our communities definitely are. So as long as we're taking those precautions, I think we'll be safe.
I agree. I think that long term it will be a win. Sure, it sucks, but they will root out the bad sellers. And one of the other things too is it's amazing how many people are not in control of their own accounts.
Right.
So you got a seller who, I mean, to be honest, they're getting out the counterfeit sellers through this process. They're getting out the sellers who are using automation, which is not okay. And they're going to get out the sellers who are using the Telegram suppliers, the Discord suppliers, and all that stuff.
As they should, really, because those products are sketchy at best a lot of times.
Exactly. Yeah. It sucks short term. Long term, it'll be a win. And heck, maybe some of these people who are tanking the prices get taken off of the platform, and it becomes too much trouble to spin up yet another Amazon account.
Right. Absolutely. Well, as far as actionable tips for helping people keep their account health strong, right? I think people know the obvious stuff like, well, don't buy from sketchy suppliers. Make sure that your products are legitimate, that type of stuff. But I think a point that you made earlier is worth repeating, right? During your Section 3 interview, I don't want to gloss over the fact that you basically beat it in one conversation, right? One fell swoop. And I think a large part of that is because you've got your paperwork organized, because you have the ability to easily access those order confirmations and those invoices. So aside from just like keeping your stuff organized so that you can provide it at a moment's notice, are there any other more maybe low key tips like that you could share for kind of helping sellers through this process?
Yeah, I think one of the most important things is try to think about presenting your information to them to the lowest common denominator employee. Okay.
That's a great tip.
So my whole thing is I wanna expect that the person who's gonna be looking at my paperwork is they didn't get to eat breakfast. The coffee machine was broken. It's 11:55 and they're scheduled for lunch at, 12:15, and they're coming up across my paperwork right now. And they've got two choices. They can scroll through everything and see that it's nice and clean, or they can see 37 different attachments and they say, screw this, denied. They can send it back in later on down the road.
Right.
And so one of the things I did is I think my submission was 62 pages
Wow.
across. On the front of each different set of documents was a cover page with a list of exactly what they should expect over the next few pages. So I had to send in all of my corporate documents, your articles of incorporation, your operating agreement, all of that stuff. I made a cover page that said, business operating documents or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and then a list of every single thing that they should expect. And then another cover page with, here are the order confirmations, the delivery confirmations. And I made sure to show them, like, not just the fact that I bought the products, but I've also got proof that I bought them. I got the confirmation of buying them. I got the
Mm-hmm.
delivery confirmation. I showed them uh, the contract with my prep center, so I know
Yep.
exactly who's handling all my products, when I'm not doing it. And I just walked them through this process rather than try to send them, here's 32 different PDF files, go figure out
Go
what
make sense
everything
of it.
is.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not, honestly, it's not their job to sort through that information, right? It is their job to analyze what's been given to them. But to your point, right, if you're trying to make their job as easy as possible so that it's as easy as possible for them to decide to approve you. And that's a great tip. Something that, I mean, that you took it to a really fine level of detail, but sometimes that's what it takes, right? One of our mastermind members, Nick Spizak, when he had his Section 3 review, this was almost a year ago now, he did the exact same thing. He used a PDF merging tool to merge like 65 different documents together
Yep.
and presented it in a way that, this is the chronological order of the documents, right? As opposed to, well, here's an invoice and here's next page is an LLC operating agreement. And, he made it super easy to read, and therefore he got in and got out, right? He
Yep.
beat it relatively easily. So that's a great tip there.
Yeah. Yeah. And give it to them the way that they're asking for it.
Yep.
So I didn't put my receipts at the top because that's not what Amazon asked for first. They wanted all of my business registration information first. And now, that shouldn't matter, you know. But the thing is again, if I get the worst employee on his worst day and
Yeah.
he's just going through the motions, is it easy to read for him? That's the important thing.
Right. Yep. No, just making their job easy, right? The easier you can make it on that Amazon employee, the higher the chances of you getting approved and getting approved quickly, right?
Hmm.
Cool. Good stuff. So we are right now, we're exactly, well, I guess 3 weeks and 1 day into Q4. And I want to talk just general Q4 strategy. So I know on our end, we are continuing to ship stuff to FBA as often as possible, even though that cutoff, I believe, not necessarily cutoff, but kind of soft deadline that Amazon gave us for having inventory available in time for Black Friday and Christmas was October 15th. But we are still continuing to ship to FBA as often as possible, really throughout the rest of the year. So I'm curious to hear your Q4 strategy and maybe some tips you could help share with the audience.
I don't think anybody should ever stop shipping into Amazon. I
Agreed,
think,
right?
yeah, it's a yes. I know Amazon's made it very clear that they're going to be reducing the number of inbound, and it's probably going to take longer. Should you send in those advent calendars or those toys that you want sold for Christmas? No, you're going to have to merchant fulfill that stuff.
Right.
After, well, heck, here pretty
Probably
soon.
now. Yeah.
Yeah. But one, Q4 doesn't end on Christmas Eve. Q4 goes well into January 15th or so. And we've also got, other thing. First of the year comes around. What happens? everybody quits smoking, everybody starts going to the gym,
Yeah.
you know, everyone wants to get fit again. And sure, that only lasts for 18 days, but it doesn't
Right.
mean it doesn't mean that they don't spend money on
Yep.
those goals. So why aren't you sending in the fat burner if you sell in the supplements category? Why aren't you sending in the fat burners, the protein powders, you know, the nicotine patches and all that stuff? That all can continue to go in.
Yep.
You know, people don't stop putting on makeup, they don't stop taking their supplements, their vitamins, they don't stop shaving, you know, all those things that we sell that are just boring products. Keep sending, because
Yep.
you don't want December to roll around. You're like, man, I absolutely crushed it. Like this Q4 was awesome. And then your January is, you know, in the toilet.
Right. Goes off
It
a
doesn't make any
cliff because you
sense.
haven't shipped in anything in the last couple of weeks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Um, it, Personally, I don't really like to treat Q4 any differently. And this isn't my own idea. This is an idea that has come from friends of mine who are much better, bigger sellers. Like, yes, Q4 is awesome. There are going to be some massive opportunities to make a lot of money and sell a lot of product. But personally, I just buy like 20, 30% deeper.
Yep.
Uh, you know, and I don't sell a ton of toys. Will I buy a toy if it's profitable? Sure. You know, but I'm just sending in the regular boring stuff that I know will sell a little bit more and it'll probably still do just fine come January.
That's just good advice, right? That's just experienced advice because and I've been giving similar advice to people that ask me that question. Well, they say, "Well, hey, it's Q4. What should I be focused on?" Right? Everybody think it's this magical time of year, and it is for certain products in certain categories, but for every other category, right? Even the stuff that's not seasonal, it still sells during Q4 and it's a lot of times it sells just a little bit better. So, that's been my advice to folks is just keep selling what you're normally selling, but like factor in around like 10 to 30% buffer, like you said, of increased sales during that season. And if you can front load it and get it shipped in early October, mid-October, so that you can blow it out for the rest of the year, then that's best case scenario.
Mm-hmm.
And
And sorry, here's the thing. Yes, we think about toys, we think about clothing because those are all very easily giftable items. One of my best Q4s crushed because of supplements.
yep.
And I was amazed at how many people, you know, were buying gift packaging for the, I mean, it was like 25% of the supplements were getting gift packaging from
Interesting.
FBA, you know? So even if you don't think it's a giftable item, it probably is. And then let's go outside of that. All right. Let's talk about something that you would never think that someone's going to give, some like lab supplies. I'm talking like, you know, school lab supplies. Well, guess what else happens at the end of the year? Budgets, you know,
Yep.
are closing down. And let's talk government, for example. In the government, which does buy from Amazon, I promise you, uh, you know, if they don't use all of their budget, it will get cut the next year.
Right.
So you will see a lot of people say, "Oh man, we've got, you know, these $20,000 budget surplus. We better blow through it so they don't take it from us next year."
Which is crazy, by the way. But
I know,
yes, you're right.
I
I
know,
know that's
that's
how it
nuts.
works.
But that happens. That happens across businesses. It happens across, you know, government agencies. It happens across your local school boards. You know, all over the place. So the products that are you would never think is going to sell in Q4 is probably going to sell.
Yep. And I mean, again, thinking things like office, anything from office supplies to break room snacks, right? To just stuff like paper, like all kinds of stuff. So that, yeah, I think we're on the same page as far as keep for people that are already selling stuff and that's selling well, keep selling what you're selling, double down on certain things, and just keep an eye out for those opportunities that might be a little more seasonal in nature, where you can pick up some product that's really going to crush it over the next 2 months while keeping your eye on that ball of products that are already doing well. Right.
Absolutely.
Cool. So we've got about 10-15 minutes or so left here. I want to pivot the conversation to touch on a little bit of a different subject, your partnership with Nate McAllister, right? So
Hmm.
Nate is an OG seller. He was one of the first people I heard about in the selling on Amazon space. I know that I don't think he sells on Amazon anymore himself. I could be wrong, but I know that you guys you partner up in the host of different challenges that you guys do, right? So obviously, you, me, and Nate, we do the wholesale challenge. I know you and Nate have the online arbitrage challenge. I know right now, in fact, I think it's day 2 of the first ever credit card points and miles challenge. So you guys have a really cool challenge ecosystem going on. And when it comes to the partnership with Nate, first of all, how did that start, and what do you think makes it work so well? Because I know you guys have been working together for a number of years.
Yeah. Well, so the advice that I give here or on Twitter or wherever, I really do try to eat my own cooking.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the pieces of advice that I've always given people is like, if you want to network, you need to try to, give value first and then, ask for something later on down the road.
Totally.
And he was running FBA Today, which was at the time, I think it was like the second largest FBA focused Facebook group, which was, they're not, Facebook groups are not as popular as they once were. A lot of it's moved to Discord and things like that, but
Mm-hmm.
they still do well.
Right.
And I was a newer seller. I knew that I wanted to get into the content space, and I kind of I've always liked to teach. I wanted to make videos, and I don't, I've got ADHD, like I'm
Something else to do,
self-diagnosed,
right?
and I always want to try something novel. And so I was like, well, I want to learn from this guy. He's created extensions, he's done these other things. Like, I want to figure out what he's doing, but he runs a group with like 30, 40,000 people in it. How do I get his attention?
Yep.
Well, he specifically said in the Facebook group, he was like, I'd love if this existed. And he wanted a tool that would allow you to highlight things inside of Google Chrome and then blur them out. So if you were doing like screen recording or things like that, you wouldn't have to edit on the back end.
Right.
And at
I'd
the
like that
time,
too. I didn't know
yeah,
that was a thing.
well, at the time it didn't exist. There are several that exist now, but I was like, that doesn't sound too hard. So I went out and I had it created. It cost me $35, uh, and I called it Easy Blur. And once I had it created, I said, "Hey, man," I said, "Here's a Chrome extension. It does exactly what you were asking, for it to do." I said, "Install it, no charge. Enjoy, and I hope it helps."
That's
And
awesome.
and then from there, you know, it became a little bit of a friendship. And then I was like, "Hey, I created another tool called RevROI. You want to be an affiliate?"
Mm-hmm.
And then it was kind of like, let's work on something else together. Let's
Do
and
something more deeply.
yeah, and it started off as a little bit of an affiliate relationship, then it became a friendship, and now it's become a full-blown, like, uh business. It's a BBFF, business best friends forever.
I love that. Yeah, I know you
uh
guys are like really close now, like super close.
Yeah. And it's great. So like I get to do cool things with somebody that I like, and our skills complement each other. I
Mm-hmm.
I tend to be, pretty good on video, and I obviously like the sound of my own voice. He is incredible with creating sales pages, and he's an incredible writer. And so, we mesh very well together.
Yeah, super complimentary. After having worked with both of you guys now over, I guess, the last year and a half or so, I've noticed that for sure. Like your skill sets complement each other as opposed to like you guys don't have the same core skills, which I think is really important to note for especially for those in the audience that maybe they're solopreneurs or they're operating their own business right now and maybe they're considering bringing on a partner, whether it's a family member or a friend or whoever. But I think that if you're going to ever entertain a partner, it's got to be somebody that brings something to the table other than what you bring, right?
Hmm.
Like, for example, if you were a kill, which you are a great salesperson, and Nate's good at sales, but that's not his core area of expertise, right? Like, if both you guys were both really good at the things that you're really good at, then there's not a whole lot of value that you could bring to each other. But I know when you're looking for a partner, like look for those things that you don't, those qualities that you don't have, like your weaknesses. Is kind of always been the advice that I've gotten,
Hmm.
and I think that's served me well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you should. Too many people try to delegate what they're good at, because, oh well, it doesn't scale, or this or that. I don't necessarily think that's the best idea. Like, sure, at some point you're going to get to the point where you do have to delegate the things you're good at.
Right.
But you really should try to delegate the things that you're not good at first to someone who really knows how to do them.
Yep, I completely agree about that. I think that really when it comes to your weaknesses, I would definitely delegate your weaknesses. And like you said, some of your strengths, I think eventually can be delegated. But I think people are sometimes too quick just to delegate just about anything, right?
Hmm.
Because they think either it's beneath them or it's not their area of expertise, when in reality it might actually be. So let's touch on, right. We mentioned that you and Nate are working on, or you guys have worked on a bunch of different projects in the past. What are some of those, right? We mentioned some of the challenges. You mentioned some affiliate relationships you've had back and forth. What else have you guys kind of co-created, right? I know you've got the storefront stalker,
Hmm.
lots of different Chrome extensions, IP alert. What's kind of in the portfolio?
I mean, together we've probably created 6 extensions. There's Rev ROI, which was kind of our first like affiliate relationship together. He created Storefront Stalker Pro, the extension, and then we turned it into a software later on down the road. IP Alert has been our biggest one, which honestly, that idea came from Nate writing a blog post about IP complaints, along with a list of brands. And I was like, we got to turn this into an extension. Like, this should
Yep,
be a proactive piece of tool for the Amazon seller.
totally.
Um, so those have probably been our biggest ones. We've got several challenges that we've done together. Uh, we had lead lists at one point, before they were as popular as they are now.
Hmm.
We had like the first disappearing lead list,
Oh
and
wow, what
so
did that? How did that work? What do you mean by that?
uh, so basically what it was is, we put out like one lead an hour for 8 hours a day, and we only left it up for 15 minutes.
Interesting. I've never
and
heard of anybody doing that.
and you would get a text message. So you'd get a text message. It would say, "Hey, the lead is up. Uh, you know, go to the Facebook group, find it, and source it if you want to."
Hmm.
And if you and like in the text message, it was, here are the details. Like, here's the brand, here's the profit, here's the ROI. You've got 15 minutes to go find it, and then we take it down.
Right.
And that allowed us to keep an inexpensive lead list. So it was only like $40 a month. It was super cheap, but expand the number of people who were on the list,
Hmm.
and also not have everything tank because 100 people saw it.
Right. Yeah. Because I
Uh,
guess you could have, I mean, how many people did you have on that list? Because realistically, there's only going to be a small percentage of people, or, I mean, that's what I would assume, that jump on during the 15-minute window to see the opportunity, and even a smaller percentage of those that actually end up buying it.
Exactly. Yeah, because someone's gated. That doesn't meet someone's ROI criteria. I want to say we had like 75 or 80 people on that, at one point. Uh, eh, but honestly, we don't like I like lead lists as a user.
Hmm.
As a creator, it's not my favorite business to run.
Well,
Uh,
is it because you want to teach people how to fish as opposed to giving people fish? Is that kind of why?
uh, no, it's very difficult to keep customers on a lead list happy consistently.
Right.
Uh, there's, oh well, today's list I was gated on 60% of the leads. Like, I can't help
Can't
that.
help that. Right.
That's just the game. But tomorrow maybe you're ungated on all 100% of them. You know,
Hmm.
and so and people tend to look too granularly at those rather than, oh, what's my
ROI over the
ROI?
long term.
Yeah. Like, so I help run a Q4 group right now, and I do offer leads during the Q4 group. And you know, I've done leads from September 30th to today. Uh Buying 5 of each of the leads that I've shared, it's a total estimated profit of like $10,300.
Oh, so
Uh
you're saying over the course of the month.
yeah, over the course of a month.
Got it.
And people don't look at that. They're like, well, I could only buy 2 of the leads today.
Right.
I get
Well,
that.
that's kind of like looking at. I gave this tip to somebody the other day. It's kind of like how you want to look at your like your Amazon inventory, right? Like there's a product that over the course of a month makes us hundreds of dollars in profit, but if I were to zoom in on 2 or 3 specific days of the month where maybe we got a bunch of returns, right? And we would just see a margin that was not representative of the actual overall profit of that product. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a good point. And just really having a at least an appropriate time horizon for anything that you're looking at, right?
Exactly. Um, so we've done the challenges. We do a Q4 group. And then we've done some affiliate marketing stuff together, but each of us really kind of do our own affiliate marketing stuff on our own as well.
So let's touch on that, some of that affiliate marketing stuff. So that's, I mean, I have limited experience with affiliate marketing, right? I mean, the main tools that I promote are Boxum, Smart Scout, Seller Snap, and really just and Seller Amp as well. So really just those four. And again, I have limited experience. Really, all I know as far as affiliate marketing is just create content showing people how to use the tools. People sign up with your link, you get a kickback. Great, right? But I know that you can get a lot more advanced with some of these strategies, and I know you've been doing it for a lot longer than I have. What does your affiliate market like? What does the affiliate marketing side of your business look like?
Well, I tell you what, before we go into that, I want to talk about why I think affiliate marketing is one of the best models on the planet.
Sure, I'm
Uh,
listening.
so one, it gets a bad rap. People are like, oh, well, it's scammy and you're tricking people into using your affiliate link, stuff like that. No, not everybody is. Does it happen? Sure. Just like there
Right.
are bad coaches in the Amazon space, there are bad, coaches. There's bad coaches in every
There's bad
space.
people in every space,
Yeah, it
really.
just happens.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, if you do it the right way, it's one of the most honest exchanges of value there is. The company that you're going to use a tool for, and I'll tell you, we're using Riverside to
Hmm.
to record this. If I go out and I'm looking to start a podcast, and someone puts out a bunch of education about how to start a podcast, what tools I should use, why I should use them, why I should stay away from these other tools, and I use their Riverside link, and they make a little bit of an affiliate commission. I mean, that's really just how I say, hey, thank you for putting out all of this free stuff for me to learn from.
Right.
And that's them doing it the right way. Uh, and and so I think it's great because the company was going to spend that money on marketing anyway.
Right.
It's not like they're going to make their product 20% cheaper just because they have a 20% affiliate commission. They're either going to have a little bit of a fatter margin because you went directly to their site, or they're going to spend that money on Google and Facebook ads, and some big conglomerate is going to get that cash instead.
Right. Because it's the
Uh,
same price to the customer, whether they use your link or whether they go to riverside.fm, right? Which is the
exactly.
website here.
You know,
So yeah, a huge benefit for you as the creator and the company as well.
yeah, and the user, in my opinion, because they got a bunch of free education that the company
Right.
may not have made. Or sure, the company may put out FAQs and they may have information on how to use their product, but they're not coming from it at an angle of, oh yes, it's made for this, but we can use it to do Y.
And it also
uh
doesn't resonate the same coming from the company, right? Like
exactly.
everybody knows this. It's like I would so much rather like if I'm trying to learn a tool, let's just use Smart Scout as an example, right? Because I've got a lot of content on Smart Scout. If I, not if I not, it was not me, Corey Gannon, if I was just an Amazon seller looking to learn about Smart Scout, I would rather see somebody who is a seller who is giving their honest feedback and their like how they use the tool in action. If they're going to educate me on that process, then I'm going to trust their information more because just obviously they're getting compensated by the company that they're referring, but it's not coming from the company itself, right? It's coming from a creator who's in that space and who's a part of that business. So I think again, there's like we said, there's bad actors in every space, but the good creators and the good affiliate marketers who have audiences that trust them, yeah, it's a win-win-win all around for the company, the creator, and the customers. So it makes a lot of sense to me. Now,
Exactly.
when it comes to your like your actual promotional strategy and where you get maybe a lot of your traffic or a lot of your conversions on those tools, is it mostly coming from the podcast? Is a lot of it coming from the blog, social media, email? Like, what's the breakdown?
Uh, most of it's probably email. The My blog doesn't do bad. It's not as big as I want it to be. We're working on that. Blogging is a lot harder than it once was.
I'm sure, yeah.
But we get probably 6,000 to 7,000 eyes every month on the blog, and we've got an email list that I think is it's not huge, but it's a good size.
Mm-hmm.
And then social media is great too. People love video.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a podcast. I occasionally just do regular old tutorial videos, and then we do a live every Wednesday. And then write Twitter threads, and I try to pull that stuff over to Facebook and things too. But you can do a lot of damn. If I were doing it all over again, I would probably solely focus on YouTube first.
Yeah, and I've been given the same advice, is that just long form content converts a lot better. And like you said, people like watching others on video, and I just think it converts a lot better and builds a lot more trust at the same time.
Yeah.
So that's kind of on point with what I've been told as far as other people in that space. And also too, this is a plug for Nate's book, right? And we're not even, at least I'm not an affiliate of his book. I don't make any kickback on this. But Nate McAllister, who we mentioned earlier, who's Chris's partner in a lot of this stuff, he's written a book called Evergreen Affiliate Marketing.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good. You can get it on Amazon. I've read it twice, cover to cover. And so for anybody that's interested in that space or that type of business, you can check out that book. I know we put a lot into that, and it's really good.
Yeah, it's a great book.
Well, one thing I want to ask the audience before we wrap up here, guys, if you enjoyed this conversation with Chris, or if you just enjoyed the podcast in general, if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like the video. And if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, do me a huge favor. Leave us a review, a written review, or at the very least, just a 5-star rating. Really helps get the podcast in front of other people, other Amazon sellers, and other folks in the e-commerce space. So with that, Chris, is there anything else you want to share with the audience before we jump off, as well as mentioning where people can find out more about you?
Oh yeah, no. I hope everybody crushes Q4. It's a great time of year to be an Amazon seller. But no, I am at Clear the Shelf everywhere. That's Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. It's all the exact same tag.
Awesome. Well, Chris, thank you so much for the time, man. Guys, you can find me on all platforms at Corey Ganem and on Twitter at Ganem Corey. So thanks. We'll be back next week.
Thanks, man.